September 19th, 2009, a hip-hop club in South Florida is having one of its biggest nights ever. Hundreds of people have traveled from across the state to be here tonight. The DJ's beats are thumping through the speakers. B-boys are breaking all night long on the dance floor. MCs are freestyle rapping, their words pounding into the microphone. Graffiti artists are smearing the concrete with their latest designs. But this isn't your average nightclub. We are not in downtown Miami. This isn't Miami Beach. It's at a place you probably wouldn't think of. There are no drugs or alcohol to be seen. Instead of bottles of Grey Goose and Bacardi covering the tables, stacks of Bibles are spread around the room. This club is driven by a higher purpose. And all of the people at this club tonight, they're family. Their faith in God is the common bond that brings them together. Tonight is the 8th anniversary of the birth of this family. This is the story of how they defied the odds. This is the story of a man that created an escape from the dangerous world of gang violence. This is the story of people coming together, inspired by one true love. This is Catalyst. First Presbyterian Church of Miami Springs. From the outside, you would never know that this is the home of Catalyst, an underground hip-hop club. Everything about this church is normal. A beautiful courtyard with an entrance to the chapel on the far side. Classrooms for Bible study line the hallways. The only glaring evidence of a hip-hop establishment is the graffiti covering one of the concrete walls in the church's breezeway. By day, this is simply a door to one of the church's rooms. But by night, this room becomes the heart of Catalyst. How did this all come about? The story begins with Joel Stegall. Joel is the founder of Catalyst.
Anybody who's really part of hip-hop in South Florida has definitely heard of Catalyst, has definitely been to Catalyst.
And without a doubt, he is the father of this large family.
Everything here has been pretty much done out of Joel, who runs the whole thing, who started it amongst a few other people.
But it almost never happened because of a tragedy in Joel's own household when he was a teenager.
When I was 16 years old, my father actually passed away. And I had to, quickly become the man of the house, dropped out of school, got 2 jobs, started doing my thing, and just trying to hold on to the house that my mom and dad had built. When I remember coming back from the hospital after my father passed and, came very close to committing suicide. The only reason I didn't is because God actually really showed me that my life was important and valuable. And this wouldn't have taken place if I had, responded to my original idea.
A few days later, his father's funeral turned out to be a big turning point in Joel's life. Instead of taking his own life, he decided to change others' lives.
And I really wanted to, more than anything, become something that people could kind of look at and go, you know what, that's evidence that God is around and God is real. Because I had realized and really experienced Him for real in my life, and I wanted to be able to share that with people who might not have any other way of knowing.
He decided to help a group he felt needed this message more than any other: gangs. And even though he dealt with plenty of obstacles,
had enough guns fired at me, pointed at me, knives pulled on me, the whole nine.
Joel stuck with it for over 10 years to make a difference. And it was at the end of that where Catalyst's origins began.
One day I'm in a park and I see a kid doing a head spin. I came up to him, grabbed him on the shoulder. He pulled a knife on me, came at me, and it turned out he had just gotten into church a week before, but he still had the rough elements of gang lifestyle. And he was doing a head spin in the middle of the grass, and I was interested because I used to break when I was little. And I was like, oh, you guys still break? I didn't even know that was still around. And he's like, yeah. He got me hooked up with a couple people. Next thing I know, I'm breaking in the middle of a police athletic league.
Joel found a culture that he didn't even know about. Another person trying to spread the word of God was DJ Magic. Magic's history with hip-hop began in 1973, when the genre was far from mainstream.
I started when I was 10 years old, and I got the name Magic from Mr. Magic, which it was the first DJ to actually play rap music on the radio.
He entered a DJ contest held by Mr. Magic and ended up winning.
What's funny is that all my friends, when they found out that I won, they were making fun of me. They're like, you won the Mr. Magic show and you can't get the prize. So it's like, then kids in my neighborhood were just calling me Magic.
And the name stuck. But it wasn't long before DJ Magic found himself caught up in fierce New York City gang life. Magic ultimately found God, but doesn't forget his troublesome upbringings.
People used to be scared of me when they saw me. They would cross the street because I was such a miserable person. And now tons of kids come up to me and talk to me all the time and ask me millions of questions, and I just love it, man, you know.
After cleaning himself up from substance abuse and gangs, DJ Magic longed to find a place where his passions for hip-hop and the message of God could coexist.
It's like I say, it's the missing element in hip-hop, which is God. It's, you know, it's like today's hip-hop is so negative. You know, it's all about gang banging, sex, drugs. It's like very negative, and it's just destroying kids' minds with just negative music out there.
DJ Magic spread the word wherever he could, which is how he teamed up with Joel. The two men, saved by Christ after tumultuous beginnings, were sharing their faith in what would become the catalyst of Catalyst.
We've been doing this for a lot longer than 8 years, but we never had actual building. I mean, we used to do it in the streets, in different parks, in different churches for a few years.
They began talking to a church about hosting a spot for the group to gather. The church liked the idea, and the family finally had a home. It became a place not only for breakdancers, also known as b-boys, but also the other elements of hip-hop, like graffiti and MCs. But it needed a name. That name was Catalyst.
Actually, it was a mistake. I must have missed biology on that particular day. I thought Catalyst was more of like a meeting point.
When Joel found out what the word meant, he felt it was appropriate.
Turned out to be even better than what I thought it meant. It means something that requires an action to actually take place. Once we got around to reading the actual, vocabulary definition, I was like, oh, I was smarter than I thought I was.
Every group needs a mission statement, a paragraph of purpose to stand by. Catalyst's mission statement is to provide a place that is a hybrid of both the street and the church. The concept was well received on that inaugural night 8 years ago, with around 100 people showing up.
So for us, it was it was one thing at a time, and we did the first one, and it worked out real well, and we're like, you know what, how do we do this better? Let's do this more.
Over time, it continued to grow, and additional people influenced the continuation of Catalyst. Coming up next, who were these people, and what drove them to join Catalyst's movement?